Trevor Snell, football. Matt Palia, volleyball.
Liam McGuire, basketball.
Colton Weeds, hockey.
Ready for this?
Austin Mackay, baseball.
Danny Wright, tennis. Hello, and welcome to another edition of the Sportswire. I'm your host, Danny Wright. Coming up, wrestling fans find a unique way to get the attention of the WWE. We look into the 2014 Marmora Snowfest, and our panel goes couchside for an intimate discussion on sports. But first, former Belleville Bulls captain and current Erie Otters forward Brendan Gaunce made his return to the friendly city. He received a warm homecoming back in his old stomping grounds. Our own Liam McGuire reports.
The Belleville Bulls welcome back a familiar face as former captain Brendan Gaunce returned to the Yardman Arena. Gaunce played 3.5 seasons with the Bulls and was named team captain in 2012. Belleville traded Gaunce mid-season to the Erie Otters, where he joined Dane Fox, the OHL's goal leader, and Connor Brown, the OHL's point leader. The Bulls had a video presentation for the Vancouver Canucks draft pick during the game. Gaunce said he really enjoyed the moment.
Yeah, that was nice. I had enjoyed my time here, and I was here for almost 4 years, so it's basically my second home. So,
Bulls assistant coach Jason Suprika said having Gaunce back was enjoyable because they don't play the Midwest Division Otters that often.
You know, it's been far enough removed, you know, that it happened before Christmas that he moved on there, so we haven't really seen a lot of him. If he was somebody that we saw on a regular basis within our division all the time, it'd be a little bit different, but, you know, happy for him.
Gaunce said playing at the rink as a visitor was a new experience he was ready for.
It's definitely a different feeling being on this side, but it's just another game. In the first period, it was a bit jittery, but the last 40 was fine.
Any nerves going into the game?
Yeah, there was a couple, for sure.
In a game between one of the league's best teams and one of the league's worst teams, the Belleville Bulls were defeated by a score of 4-1 here at the Yardman Arena. Brendan Gaunce, former captain of the Belleville Bulls, made his first return here to the Yardman Arena, and Michael Jigovaz made 29 saves, earning first star of the game despite the loss. Liam McGuire, QNet Sports, Belleville.
Hello, I'm Danny Wright, and this is the Sportswire panel. I'm joined today by Colton Weens, Austin Mackay, and Matt Palia. And contrary to popular belief, these aren't shoulder pads. We're going to start things off with hockey. The NHL trade deadline is just around the corner, and there's a lot of players up on the table. So what players will be moved at the deadline, Colton?
I think one of the guys that's going to be moved is Ryan Miller. He's the biggest goalie to watch in the NHL right now. He's got a .925 save percentage, the second best in his career in the NHL. And the Sabres got to get rid of him. He's got to get out of there. I think the teams to watch for him are the Minnesota Wild, because they don't know what they're going to do with Josh Harding just yet, the Washington Capitals, and the St. Louis Blues. But guaranteed, Ryan Miller leaves.
Yeah, I believe with goaltending being such a problem, the Edmonton Oilers are in a world of their own when it comes to goaltending. Both of their goalies are up for free agency this offseason, and currently they're only 19, 33, and 6, which will put them in the last place. And they're looking for another first-round pick. So players like Ales Hemsky, Ryan Smith will be probably shipped out finally. Talk every year about these players being moved, but this might be the year because they had those 3 first-round picks, and they're looking for their 4th again this year. So with only 2 defensemen on the roster booked for next year, look for Edmonton to make tons of trades, including almost their entire roster, and hopefully finally Ales Hemsky.
Well, playoff teams are certainly going to be looking for a sniper, and look no further than New York Islanders forward Thomas Vanek. Thomas Vanek is top 5 in goals since 2008 with a company like Alex Ovechkin and Corey Perry, and you can't really go wrong with those guys on that list. He's also one of the guys that you don't really think about in terms of top scoring players, for that matter, because of his streaky performances, but Thomas Vanek is over a point per game since coming over to the New York Islanders. They were unable to lock him up long term. Something might be able to happen between now and the deadline, but it's not looking very likely right now. So look for Thomas Vanek to get traded. Either Pittsburgh or LA are making a huge push for him.
Well, from hockey to baseball, MLB training camp is underway, and teams are gearing up for the season. So which teams have made the biggest impact in the offseason, and why?
Well, one of the easiest ways to make improvements is to spend money and get players, and that's exactly what the New York Yankees did. After they didn't make the playoffs, they went out and spent $21 million on Brian McCann for just next year. They spent $15 for Carlos Beltran and $17 for Jacoby Ellsbury. Those deals are multiple-year deals, and these are replacing players like Curtis Granderson, who they just who signed with the Mets, and Brian McCann has only one season where he doesn't hit 20 home runs. The New York Yankees have all this money and all this space to fill in players, and that's exactly what they did. They brought in Brian Roberts, who had one error last year in 60 games. Any weaknesses the Yankees have, they locked it up, especially grabbing Tanaka out of Japan.
Well, the Yankees certainly spend a lot of money, but there's one guy they couldn't keep, and that was franchise second baseman Robinson Cano, and he is now with the Seattle Mariners, who I believe made the biggest splash this offseason, giving Cano that huge lucrative contract. They also added former Milwaukee Brewers first baseman Corey Hart, who, although he was injured last season, he's averaged over almost 24 home runs since 2007. They also added Logan Morrison, who's kind of a lost fish, no pun intended, with the Miami Marlins for the past few seasons. So I think he has a boatload of potential. And they're adding on to an already stellar team that includes Felix Hernandez, the former Cy Young winner, and hopefully they're looking for a bounce back from Jesus Montero behind the plate.
Well, I got to go with a team that made a little bit of splashing in the little kiddie pool, and you might want to call me a bandwagoner, but the Boston Red Sox, I think they might be able to do it once again as they locked up Mike Napoli, which was a big move for them, but they also lost Jacoby Ellsbury, but they're looking for Jackie Bradley Jr. to take his place, and we'll see if he's able to do it this season.
Well, speaking of championships, the Miami Heat are once again having a dominating season this year in the association. So historically, guys, talking dynasties, who is the greatest dynasty of all time?
Well, I'm going to stick with the basketball team, but non-NBA team, Danny. The Edmonton Grads women's basketball team from 1950 to 1940. They won 502 games, only losing 22 in that span. Dr. James Naismith called them the greatest team to ever play on the court. They won 23 of 24 provincial titles, and they went to the Olympics and won all 27 games they played. While women's basketball wasn't officially an Olympic sport until 1976, they still won the 4 championships there. I'm going with the ladies from Edmonton.
Mine's not exactly a team, but more of a manager, Sir Alex Ferguson, between 1986 and 2013 with Manchester United. Unbelievable. He won so many championships with that team, 13 English Premier League championships and 2 UEFA Champions League wins. He had around 38 championships won in that time. He also had players like Rooney, Beckham, Van Persie. So unbelievable team that he had there. And I got to go with Sir Alex Ferguson, his own dynasty himself.
That's a great point with the European soccer there, and a great history lesson too. But I'm going to bring it back to one of the 4 major pro sports in North America, NFL football. And when it comes to football, one team stands out, and that's the Pittsburgh Steelers. They have the most Super Bowls of any other team. And on top of that, their organization is run from the top down with pure excellence. Of the 473 total NFL coaches to ever coach, 3 of those have coached for the Pittsburgh Steelers, each one of those winning a Super Bowl. Over their whole career, they have 11 #1 defenses, which is the most. So Pittsburgh Steelers easily round out as, even today, the top-run NFL organization and one of the best dynasties of pro sports in North America.
Well, NFL, I'll take your Super Bowl wins for 4 Super Bowl losses. My dynasty team is the 90s Buffalo Bills. This has been the panel. On behalf of Colton Weens, Austin Mackay, and Matt Palia, this has been the Sportswire panel. Now throwing it over to Trevor and Liam.
Thanks, Danny, and welcome to our first TV timeout. I'm Trevor Snell, joined by Liam McGuire, and we are in the Loyalist College Fitness Center talking today about our favorite childhood heroes. I don't know about you, Liam. My favorite childhood hero was Peyton Manning growing up. What are your thoughts?
My favorite childhood sports hero was Saku Koivu, former captain of the Montreal Canadiens, currently with the Anaheim Ducks. When he came back from non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, one of the most beautiful moments in sports, personified in sports, great leader, Saku Koivu for sure.
Well, Saku Koivu can't be happy about being left off the Finnish national team for the Olympics. But my favorite childhood hero, as I already said, was Peyton Manning. The guy stole my heart growing up, even though they went 3-13 in his rookie season, and I was heartbroken because I was a huge Harbaugh fan who was the quarterback. For those who don't remember, before Peyton Manning, he had so many hard-fought battles with Tom Brady, the New England Patriots, the Pittsburgh Steelers as well. Who can forget Mike Vanderjagt blowing that kick in the divisional playoffs? Finally, Peyton Manning came around, won the Super Bowl in 2006. That's one of the greatest moments of my life. I can remember exactly where I was that night and who I was with. It's got to be Peyton Manning for me.
Colts aren't doing too bad, though, with Andrew Luck now.
No, that's for sure. I can certainly accept the fact that Peyton Manning is gone now, that Andrew Luck has solidified himself as a pretty good quarterback. That wraps it up for our first TV timeout. Back to you.
While Peyton Manning had a hard time out in the cold this Super Bowl, it was a different story for a small town north of Belleville, just a year after being forced to cancel Marmora's favorite winter celebration. Snowfest was back for its 36th edition.
Marmora's Winter Snowfest just wasn't the same in 2013. The weather was mild and there was no snow to be found. As you can see, that was not an issue this year. The snow came in bunches. Families enjoyed the festivities, and some chose to warm up by the fire and roast marshmallows. Marmora's Curling Club president, Wendy McCoy, has loved the social aspect of Snowfest ever since it came around.
Snowfest is a very social event, the same as curling, so it brings a lot of people into the area just to see what it's all about and just look around and have a good time.
There was lots to do for the non-racers as well. This guy gave the wood carving competition a try, and some impressive pieces were carved out during the day. Jen Bennett helped organize this year's event. She admits there's a lot of work that goes into it, but it's a rewarding feeling at the end of the day.
It's a lot of work, and it definitely is a different experience than just, coming and enjoying it like a spectator or something, but it's also rewarding because you're helping your town and you're bringing people out to have a good time, and people are really appreciative.
Karen Kohler competed in her 6th Snowfest in 2014.
We train a lot, and it's nice to come to a race and see how you do against other teams and how your training is doing for you and your dog.
Kohler won the ski-joring 4-mile race and has represented Canada on the international stage in the past.
We went to Norway in 2011. We went to Alaska in 2013. And in Alaska, I improved on my placements a lot. I was really happy I was representing Canada.
Unlike last year, this year the weather cooperated at Snowfest. All the racers were happy, the food was tasty, but now it's time for this reporter to go warm up. For QNet Sports, I'm Trevor Snell in Marmora.
Those cute canines can say they claim the title of my new favorite team. With that said, we head back to the boys for another TV timeout.
Thanks again, Danny, and welcome to another TV timeout. I'm Trevor Snell, joined by Liam McGuire, and this time we are going to be talking about our favorite team growing up. How about you?
Growing up in the middle of nowhere, Antigonish, Nova Scotia, I got 3 TV channels. One of those channels was CBC, and they carried Toronto Blue Jays broadcasts. Jim Houston, who now does Hockey Night in Canada.
Voice of God.
Yeah, amazing voice. The team had Troy Gloss, Matt Stairs, Jesse Litch, Sean Markham, all these lovable guys. The future was so promising, and now here we are. What about you?
The JP Ricciardi days. Long in the past by now, but my favorite team growing up had to be the Toronto Maple Leafs. Before the decade-long drought, of course, my childhood, the glory years for me, between 98 and 2004, the Toronto Maple Leafs lost 4 times in the quarterfinals, the second round of the playoffs, twice to the conference finals, and 1 time they were oh so close against the Carolina Hurricanes. So many great childhood memories for me. Also so many disappointments, but there were a lot of successes for them. Much more than there has been in the past decade, although they're thankfully back on the right track.
Well, that's what you get for cheering for the Leafs, man.
That wraps it up for our second TV timeout. Back to the studio.
Thanks, guys. The WWE is the most watched form of sports entertainment in the world. Oshawa and the Durham region thought of the most unique way to get WWE's attention to bring a show back to the city. Matt Pallia has the story.
The WWE has toured in Canada dozens of times. However, the city of Oshawa hasn't seen WWE action since 2003. Fans, young and old, gathered together to try and break the world record for longest chain of thumb wrestling matches. Event organizer Will Balfour says they tried to think of the most creative way to get WWE's attention.
We pretty much just wanted to come up with an unconventional method to try and grab the WWE's attention, and we searched up online for different world records that might be appealing to the entire public, so it doesn't matter the age range, everybody knows how to thumb wrestle.
The venue has the space to be jam-packed with lifelong wrestling fans as well as new ones.
Oshawa, we're huge fans of wrestling in Oshawa, so I figured why not have it here at the General Motors Center. I'll be front row. You'll see this guy front row.
Oshawa's MP Colin Carey came to support the potential record-breaking event.
I've never had the chance to see a WWE event live. I've only seen it on TV, but that's why we're here today. We're going to see if we can get Oshawa behind getting a WWE live event right here in Oshawa.
While the numbers are lower than what they expected, they still hope that today's event garnered enough interest to bring the SmackDown to Oshawa. For QNet Sports, I'm Matt Pallia.
Now it's that part of the show where we head to the DMC with the dashing duo and the final TV timeout.
Welcome to our third and final TV timeout. I'm Trevor Snell, joined by Liam McGuire. And for our third and final TV timeout, we will be discussing the most bizarre injuries that have happened in baseball since the spring training is just around the corner at this point, Liam.
Yeah, the most bizarre injury for me was Kendrys Morales, then of the Los Angeles Angels. Hits a grand slam off Brandon League. Everyone goes nuts, crowd going nuts. Teammates get off the dugout, join him at home plate. As he jumps on home plate, completely messes up his knee. Out for the rest of the year, missed the next season too. Never the same since. Kendry, man.
Yeah, that's got to be one of the craziest things I've ever seen. He looked like he was going to be a perennial all-star up until that point, and he's really never been the same player ever since. For me, it's maybe not a player, but a bird. It's got to be the craziest injury, the most deadly injury ever to happen in baseball. On March 24th, 2001, Randy Johnson, then of the Arizona Diamondbacks, threw a fastball that hit a dove that was flying across home plate. A sea of feathers, the dove was pronounced dead on the scene. It was called a dead ball and no pitch, but that's got to be one of the weirdest and most bizarre things I have ever seen happen in the sport.
I felt bad for the bird, man.
I felt bad for every bird in the world at that point. They've got to be scared of baseball players now.
Yeah, fastball's coming their way.
Well, that does it for us here in the TV Timeouts. Back to you, Danny.
Well, that about does it for us. I hope you enjoyed the show. On behalf of everyone here at the Sportswire, thanks for watching. I'm Danny Wright. See you next time.
Y'all ready for this?